glorify you, Jesus. Magnify you, Lord. You're worthy of the glory, Lord.
Kingdom of heaven is at hand. Last week we concluded with the fact that as we encounter on Yom Kippur, which was the Day of Atonement, on Tuesday, this past Tuesday at sundown, and we began to complete our fast, that we needed to remember that the Lord regards the prayer of the destitute. That was the purpose of us afflicting our souls during that time, during the fast, the sacrifice time, and all of those things. It was what He has put in place as a design for a specific season, and as we get into what we're going to get into today, I promise you, you're never going to be the same. and as I was putting everything together this morning and understanding where we're actually at, Angela came to me because I was in tears, because once I realized the height and the depth of this particular place that we're in, and to know that He has chosen me in this moment to help lead people for His kingdom, I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop the tears, because I saw something as I was finishing up this morning in my study time that I had never seen before. I knew it was there, but I didn't see it in light of the time that He had me born and how it's in conjunction with His time. And I couldn't stop the tears. And when we get to it, you'll understand why. But one of the things that we're going to look at, especially on the day, is that this is preparing us to look at the prayer of the upright. Because last week we looked at the prayer of the destitute. Now we're going to look at today the prayer of the upright. And what we've got to understand is that there's some details about walking upright that He promises in His Word. And I don't think that we've paid close enough attention to those details, because if we did, we wouldn't struggle while we're waiting on our good stuff to come. And see, one of the things you have to be careful of is that when you're known more for your behavior than you are for your character, you need to become more disciplined. And see, becoming disciplined is something crucial. And when I say this, I love you, and it's nothing personal, but what you have to watch is, especially when you have a child watching you, if you're doing the exact same things that they're getting in trouble for, now they think that they're in the right because they're doing the exact same things that they're watching you do. So if they see you talking in a class setting, guess what they're going to do when they get in a class setting? They're going to start talking. They're going to say, well, I saw them do it, so I saw Mama do it, I saw Daddy do it, I saw whoever do it. So then they start to get the mindset of, well, it must be okay. Those are things that He's trying to show us of, hey, I gave them to you. And that's something important. He gave them to you. Children are a heritage of the Lord. I've showed you that in Scripture. The fact that they're a heritage of Him, He's saying, I want you to help train them to be like me, because that's where they came from. Now, yes, I want to use you to help get them to me. So make sure that you're not doing things to lead them away from me. That's the important part. So that's where the uprightness comes into play, because he's saying, I need for you to do this in a particular way so that it begins to draw them to me. But if your actions keep taking them away from me, then now you're causing a struggle. The reason that I'm saying that is because, go with me to Proverbs 20 and verse 11. Proverbs 20 and verse 11. And if you still had your place there at Psalm 15, hold that, because we're going to go back to that in just a second. But in Psalms 20, Proverbs 20 and verse 11, he says this. Proverbs 20 and verse 11, it says, even a child is known by his doings, whether his work be pure and whether it be right. The fact that it says even is letting you know that the child should not be the focal point. It's saying you, the grown-up, is the actual focal point, but you, the grown-up, actually have to be the one to give the example to the child by your doings, because their doings are being gauged just like your doings are being gauged. So that's why it says even a child is known by his doings, whether his work be pure and whether it be right. So notice that doesn't say pure or right. That says pure and right. So what he's trying to convey to us is this. You can tell when a child's being innocent. You can tell when they just flat out, they might be doing something 100% wrong, but they may be 100% innocent in the fact that they didn't know it was wrong. But you can also tell whenever they're trying to buck the system. And that's where you have to know the difference. That's where you got to be able to pay attention and see. Because when I tell people this, and y'all can't let this CD or whatever it turns out to be, CD or DVD, y'all can't let this one get out with what I'm about to tell you, because then they'll be trying to come and arrest your pastor. But Terrance and Alyssa got their first hand smackings, hittings on the butt at 6 and 7 months. Not years, months. Here's why. See, I got a witness up in here. But here's why. Because when they was reaching for something on the table, and I said no, and they pulled their hand back. But then, not 5 minutes later, they're doing just like this, looking me in the eye, looking back at the table, looking me in the eye still, and keep looking back at the table, and still looking back at me in the eye, and still keep easing towards the table. So that means they knew, I don't need to be touching that, but let me see what the boundaries are. Let me see how far and how many times they're going to let us get away with this. Guess how many times it was? None. Because after I said no that one time, and then I saw them doing this, that let me know, you're trying to defy me. So at that point, get your hand back. And see, that looked crazy to a lot of people. Even my mama, who's here today, and it's funny she's here today, but she got us for some stuff. And then when I was getting my kids for some of the stuff that they already knew, she said, why you being so hard on them? Woman, you know how you used to beat on me? And now you saying I'm being hard on them. But I wasn't being hard on them because she came in on after we had already instructed them that they shouldn't be doing the stuff. But then they were trying to check the boundary again. Oh, company's here. Let's see if I can get away with this. Company's here. Let me see if I can try